So, okay, Premier Lacrosse League, right? You guys, you had a street lacrosse event.
Yeah.
We actually went to it
You were there?
a few weeks ago.
In the rain.
Yes, sir.
What's your involvement with lacrosse? And it's very interesting because it was like street ball lacrosse. That's like the comparison I can kind of give to it. And I found out that that's actually been picking up a lot of steam, and it's becoming very popular. Um, how did you get involved with lacrosse, and what's your involvement in that lacrosse league?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a close connection to the sport of lacrosse at all. But I was able to meet Paul. I love sports.
He's the head of
Paul Rabel is the founder and CEO. Him and his brother, they're co-founders. And I was able to learn a lot more about Paul through Joe Tsai, because Joe Tsai is very involved in lacrosse as a sport. His whole family is. And
Brooklyn Nets.
Yes, sir.
Yep, owner
of the Brooklyn Nets. So in paying attention to it and seeing and watching some of the games, I saw exactly what I needed to see. Was like, here was this ravenous community. Here was this fan base that loved the sport. Here were athletes that were elite at what they did, the best in the world. And here was this founder that was not only an incredible player, but was carrying this league on its back. So from an investment standpoint, I was like, I'm in and I believe in this. But what I then started to realize in dealing with Paul was like, what would we bring to it? What could Boardroom bring to it? And when he told me this idea around street lacrosse, we instantly realized, like, let's make it feel like the Rucker. And why can't a sport of lacrosse be at the center? You know, why can't these incredible lacrosse players in like 6 o'clock on a Friday night in New York City in an outside playground in September turn this into a moment and have a DJ and have food trucks and create a moment? And again, if you peel it back, like, was there a bigger why? No, but I'm really into creating moments and creating opportunities to bring people together, opportunities to, you know, have two brands align and add incremental value for each other. I think it's like we can only grow off of each other. So it was like that feeling of like, here are some of the best athletes in the world, and let's create a moment that's like our style. And I feel like we did that. I mean, I hope you guys had a good time. It was like a rainy night in New York, but it felt like that a little bit.
That was good. It was good energy.
At the time, I mean, it's New York Fashion Week.
Yeah.
The timing of it was great. Is that the similar vision when you looked at pickleball? Because even now, like, I studied sports pedagogy, and pickleball is something that I played in school. But prior to, nobody even knows what that is. So even the demographic that plays it, it doesn't look like KD. And so how did you guys decide, all right, we're doing pickleball? Was the influence from other athletes? I know Tom Brady's involved. There's some other athletes that were buying teams. And what's the vision for that?
Well, a lot of this shit comes out of curiosity. But for me, during the summer of 2022, when Kevin, it became public that Kevin wanted to get traded, you know, that summer, I was using pickleball as my stress reliever, and I was playing all the time. And
doubles,
yeah, like intense games with friends of mine and peers of mine. And like a lot of things, and I bet you guys have similar experiences, like you're in the middle of something and all of a sudden your mind races to like, what's the business of this? Like, what is this? I'm not just going to play this. I want to know it all. And as I explored it a bit, it very similar to all these other sports properties we invested in, it was clear that this was a sport that was exploding, a business that was at its infancy stages, and an opportunity to invest, help shape it and mold it, and a sport that I thought could connect. Now, I don't know if the league's going to work. I believe in it, and I'm obviously, you know, going to support this thing all the way through. But it felt like the right investment and right thing to explore because the sport was exploding. So I wanted to have a firsthand look at like how this thing was coming to life, and then I could utilize all that content in that community to help build Boardroom more so and like create that flywheel. And then owning our own franchise is fun, and then it's part of building the business. And I think what it happens with Kevin when we have those combos is we were in Austin, Texas, and I went to meet up with him, went to see Texas, Alabama, and I'm like, let me break this whole shit down to you. You know, and we've had so many of these moments where like I'm bringing something into his world that he never really heard of, like pickleball, right? And I'm like, this is why we're doing this shit. And Kevin is really fucking smart. And I don't think he has ever gotten credit for how smart he is and like how much he's really quickly adapted to everything we've explored in business, whether it was venture or media or the sports investing. He hears it one time similar to me and he really picks it up. and he understood it. We went to see a bunch of other investors in the league at this like place they call the Pickleball Ranch in Austin, Texas. And Kevin played a little bit, and he just read the culture, believed in me. We took a shot at it, and as he's learned more and more, you know, he really gets it now and sees the opportunity for the league. But again, you know, there's a mutual benefit across the board. You know, I see the value of building this league and telling the stories around the building of the league on our platform, and you know, and
So
showing up.
Pickleball essentially is like handball, kind of, right?
No,
No,
it's more tennis with a
you play with a paddle,
a
Yeah.
paddle.
but it's against a wall.
No.
No.
It's a net in between, so it's like tennis in a sense. It's much smaller court, but like with a wiffle ball and a paddle. So it's really fun because it's not as fast as tennis.
Yeah.
So more people can play it, and you can. It's one of these games that you can play longer. Whereas somebody who's playing tennis, if you know arthritis slows you down, you're not going to move the same. Pickleball is a slower game. It's cool.
Yeah. It's like you play ping pong.
I've played ping pong.
Yeah, so you know, you get in a really good game of ping pong, you're sweating, you may really think that you're working out. Well, this is actually like you are taking a ping pong court, spreading it out. There's some tennis instincts, but if you have good hand-eye coordination, you've played with like a paddle or a racket in any sport, you'll get it. The one with the walls is called padel or paddle, that one where it's even more of like a fast-paced sport like tennis.
That's similar like a handball.
Yeah, there's some similarities.
That's what I'm saying. That's like handball, kind of.
Yeah, that is. What he just explained is like handball.
So,
like,
all right.
Pickleball is like it's on a tennis court, but it's modified, very small.
Yeah, you could fit 4 pickleball courts on one tennis court.
Yeah.
So
we should play doubles.
You're a sports guy, so you're invested in a lot of these alternative sports, right? Pickleball and lacrosse. Where do you see the future of sports going? Because we see soccer is becoming, well, football, depending on where you live in the world, is becoming very big in America. It hasn't always been big, but now it's becoming Messi coming. It's like it's picking up a lot of steam.
Yep, World Cup coming.
Volleyball is one of these sports that's been around for a long time, but that's kind of picking up some momentum. And then the lacrosse thing is interesting. Pickleball is hot right now. Baseball's dying, has been dying for years.
Yeah, but it had a great year this year.
This year is great. The tennis is up. Viewership
Shortening
is up.
the pitch clock.
Yeah. They changed the rules.
These young stars. But I get your
But
point.
just in general.
Yeah.
Basketball to the moon. Football is interesting.
Different planet.
Huh?
Different universe.
Football.
Well, it's a 50-year plan for football because youth participation in football is drastically declining.
Yes.
So even though it's still number one in America, there's no international presence really. Youth participation is declining. Like my son plays football, 7th and 8th grade team. He's the only 7th grader on the team because none of the other 7th graders' parents will let them play. So at some point, football is gonna have to get a little concerned. So what's your thoughts on the future of sports and the ecosystem of where we're at right now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have a very optimistic view because it's the world I'm in and I love it. Even as it relates to football, I saw that, you know, the Olympic Committee is allowing flag football in, right? And I think from a global expansion.
2028 in LA.
2028, I think that's good for the sport. And I'm hoping that football finds a way to innovate, whether from the technology and equipment standpoint or something, because it's still like everybody's favorite sport in some ways. But I think for me, I think there's this shift happening where because the media only allowed for certain sports to be able to be televised the way basketball and football and tennis when it was the majors and golf when it was the majors and NASCAR for the big races, there was never an outlet for all these other sports. There was not enough of money or opportunity or brand or belief in any of these as businesses because they always had to compare them to the major sports. Well, now all of a sudden, there's this premium on experience and real life moments and fan engagement and being able to create that sense of community. So I think that gives all of these sports opportunities in the physical. Then from a media standpoint, with all of these different ways to stream content and break up rights and all the multitude of outlets that there are, all of these sports now have opportunities. You saw the NWSL, the Women's Soccer League, just got a big media deal.
CBS,
Yep. And the fact that it's one of the only live occurrences left, it brings an insane amount of value to streaming services and to broadcast TV or whatever's left of it. And there's communities. They're not the size of the NBA, but they're communities that love these sports. And then the number one reason is these are the best in the world at what they do. And I'm just like, somehow, some way, if you have the best in the world at what they do, there's has to be puzzle pieces there to create a business around it. Best female softball players in the world. I was in Chicago in August at the Athletes Unlimited event that they did for their softball league. And it's like, there's no difference between those women and how hard they had to work, even harder at some points, because they have to have 2 jobs along the way to do this. And I think that there's a world in which if you're the best in the world at what you do, that there's a business there. So I'm bullish on all of them.